What happens if you're divorced and you can't afford to sell the home?
Welcome back to our show. We are now calling our show the Home Seller's Advantage. I'm Aaron Zapata, your co-host.
And I am Todd Anderson, your other co-host.
You know, my voice is a little different today, so for our listening audience, I do ask for your forgiveness in advance. Just bear with me.
Aaron has a deeper baritone voice today, and it might be good we should have you sing a song in a nice deep baritone voice. You know, this is what happens when you get sick and you feel better, but your voice kind of plays catch up. And so Aaron has been under the weather. He's doing fine, but his voice is not yet caught up. And I was joking that we should do an episode where Aaron just pantomimes what he wants to say, and I try to identify what it is that he's trying to say. But I don't think that would be very interesting.
Well, not for the listening audience. But if you are on our website at baldbrothers.tv, and if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch the show. And yes, you know, I apologize for my voice. Some people might like it better.
Yeah.
Because it's so much lower. I don't know. They just might like it better. Yeah, I don't like it better.
And hey, if you are tuning in for the very first time, this is not how we both normally sound, but hey, if you like it, let us know. Make a comment and let us know, and we'll just see if we can just get him sick all the time and have that voice. But yeah, you are listening to now Home Seller's Advantage, and you can actually find us. We are the Bald Brothers team at Impact Properties. You can find us online at baldbrothers.tv. You can also call us at 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305, the letters BAL and D. And we have a 24-hour answering service that will answer the phone anytime you call, and we will get back in touch with you from that answering service. So today, I'm going to try to do a little bit more of the talking. That's going to be hard for you, Aaron. But we want to talk about a couple of different topics. And the first topic that we want to talk about today is one that's not necessarily an easy topic to discuss, and that is the very reality that divorces happen. And oftentimes when there is a divorce, there is property that needs to be divided. And of course, your greatest asset that you will ever own, more than likely, is your home. And so when it comes to dividing the asset of that home in today's market, things are such that many couples are unable to afford to actually sell the property and divide it. In fact, we have a link to an article in our show notes from the Wall Street Journal that talks about this very fact, that there is a trend right now where couples who are getting divorced are unable financially to afford to be able to sell their home and divide the assets.
Well, and it's a financial issue. Mm-hmm. You know, with mortgage rates now at 7% and above.
Yeah.
If this couple during COVID locked into one of those amazing low rates,
mm-hmm.
and now post-COVID realizes that life is better apart from each other,
yeah,
they're stuck with the reality that to sell that home and buy two additional homes, mm-hmm. or even to move out and rent two different homes, that's extremely expensive.
The market has changed,
mm-hmm.
and that's a true reality, and it's something that we have actually discussed in previous episodes, not pertaining specifically to divorce, but it carries over because we are coming out of a period of historic low interest rates on mortgages, and for the average person right now, that's, by the way, one of the reasons that there's such a shortage of inventory in the market today, is because people aren't selling, because to sell and then purchase a replacement home means mm-hmm. you're selling something that was at 2.5% interest, and now you're purchasing a replacement home between 7 and 8% interest, and that's difficult for the average family who's just buying one home. But now, if you get divorced, you got two. Your costs of living goes up mm-hmm. After a divorce.
Well, and we've discussed this in previous episodes, mm-hmm. where there's a couple of options going through the divorce. One couple can refinance and buy out the other person,
mm-hmm.
but again, to refinance that person out of the ownership mm-hmm. is going to go from a low rate to an extremely high rate.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes doubling the cost of owning that home for the remaining partner. The other option is to sell the asset and then move out. And realistically, even that is expensive because you're going from a low rate to a historically now high rental rate because there's not a lot of rentals on the market. Yeah. And so it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Todd, and one of the reasons I'm sick is I was on a mission trip in Kentucky, but where we were at in that area, the divorce rate is extremely high, but it's not for lack of love or estrangement between husband and wife. It is solely a financial decision.
Really?
And when I was there in this part, I learned about this because couples will get divorced on paper but still live together so that they can have 2 government welfare checks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
completely different, right?
Yeah.
We're here in Southern California when you and I are talking about working with couples that are going through divorces, and we've done that a lot. We're not talking that situation. We're not talking, we're doing this for a financial advantage. Yeah. We're doing it because the marriage has fallen apart.
And that's interesting how things have shifted because at one time, and there still is, of course, a tax advantage to being married and filing your taxes jointly. And that is a wonderful thing because that was done to try to promote marriages and promote families staying together. But on the other side, we see that the welfare system has motivated people to be separated and divorced. So what you're saying is over there in Kentucky, in Appalachia, that the divorce rate is high for the financial reasons on the other side of things, but they're still staying together. So I guess perhaps they're considering themselves before God to still being married, but before the state to be separated.
Yeah. I didn't meet anybody that is in that situation, but I was talking to people that live there and counsel there and work through those situations. And they say it's very discouraging for church members because they see a lot of their friends going through this and they're only doing it for the financial advantage. They're not even intending to sell.
Yeah.
They're just staying where they're at. Everything's the same, except now with the divorce, they receive 2 government checks from their welfare system. So, but back here in California, where we're talking about, or in any high cost living state, this is a very tough time for couples that are going through that. And so if you're going through a divorce, if you're going through that situation and you want to talk through some of these things, we're not counselors by profession, but we do a lot of counseling in real estate. And Todd's been a pastor, and I actually have a degree in Bible as well. So
I was going to say, I actually have done pastoral counseling.
You have done it. And so, we do want to throw that out there that we are here to meet the needs of the people that listen to us and that come to us because we understand there's a lot of difficulty, especially right now in real estate when you and I both realize that most people are selling because of difficult situations, whether it be death, divorce, unemployment, whatever the case may be. So we want you to know as a listener that we have hearts of compassion and we want to hear you out and then also provide you some good wisdom and advice for your situation.
That's right. And hey, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to the Home Sellers Advantage. We are the Bald Brothers team at Impact Properties. That's Bald Brothers. That's B-A-L-D, not the Ball Brothers. That's a different group.
They play basketball,
They play basketball. Yep, they are ballers. We are balders. So we're the Bald Brothers team with Impact Properties. You can reach us. You can call us by calling us at 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305-BALD. You can also go and find us online at baldbrothers.tv, as in television, BALD brothers.tv, and that will give you everything that you need to know. It'll get you to our blog, to all of our online locations where you can get our our podcast online. All of that's available there, and we would love to talk to you. And today, we are talking about the topic at hand is people who are getting divorced, who cannot afford to sell their home. And we will put a link into the show notes on an article from the Wall Street Journal. And I'll just add one more thing before we move on, is one of the trends that they're finding, because couples are getting divorced, but they can't afford to sell the home. They can't afford to move out and rent 2 separate homes. They're hanging on to that asset, and they're just kind of subdividing the home, so to speak, in many cases, where the ex-wife lives on this side of the house, the ex-husband lives on this side of the house.
Right.
They lock up the cabinet. This is your bathroom. This is my bathroom. This is your cabinet. Right. This is my half of the pantry, or we'll convert this closet into his pantry. And that's what couples are doing now. In most of these cases, these are cases where the divorce is amicable. But I suppose there are also some cases where it's not so much so. And so, as Aaron, just before we gave your contact information, said that this is something that we, as the Bald Brothers team at Impact Properties, we are used to dealing with, and we have had several transactions where we're helping to counsel people through the sale of a home, the sale of a property. And in some cases, it doesn't work financially. And so we're here to help you through that entire process. Anything you want to add to that?
I do. It's important for people that are going through divorce to know that the agent that's hired is neutral.
Yes.
Because it's really hard to trust the other party.
Yes.
In a transaction. And so you and I have worked through a situation many times where our process and the system that we use allows us to keep in contact with all parties at the same time. So there's no he said, she said.
That's right.
There's no, hey, let's all go over in a corner and figure out over here what's better for us and not tell the other party. We have to remain neutral. We're Switzerland.
Yeah, we do not take sides.
And we have a process, though, because not only do we not take sides, but we want to honor each person. The last thing that a divorcing couple needs is a difficult real estate transaction on top of everything else. So we come in with a process that we use, and we use group texting, we use group emails, and then we make sure that if there are attorneys involved, that we also include them.
Yeah.
It's a little more expensive for, husband and wife that have attorneys to include attorneys in all their communication. But we do know that once it gets to that point, that attorney-client privileges and all that information,
confidentiality,
it has to, we have to remain neutral.
That's right.
And so when all parties are getting all the same information, it really allows the process to happen a lot faster and a lot easier because there's no more he said, she said, and all of this crazy stuff that already happens in divorces.
Yeah. So we are the Swiss team.
We are. That's why we're a home seller's advantage. Okay. That's why we want to do that. So yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Hey, so Wall Street Journal ran an article about a report that just came out, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the reason that divorcing couples are staying together is because the prices of homes are at a record high.
They are.
Which is crazy.
And that's counterintuitive because
it really is.
The other thing that we talk a lot about in today's market, and I just said it earlier, that the interest rates are so high that there's a lack of inventory on the market. And you would normally think, ignore the last part that I said about lack of inventory because that plays into this. You would normally think that if the interest rates are so high, then prices are going to go down. And in a traditional market, that's what happens, is prices start to go down. But the fact is, because so few people are actually listing their homes because of that sudden shift, that sudden change in interest rates, it means there's a lack of inventory. And when there is a lack of inventory, but there's more buyers in inventory, guess what happens? Prices go up. And so we are at record highs on property values and also record highs on interest rates on mortgages.
Yeah. And that article just came out this week. And so home prices rose to a new record in September, which is the latest data that we have, due to the shortage of homes for sale, and even though interest rates are high.
Yeah.
So lack of inventory is driving the price. So if you are looking at selling and you want an advantage in this market, now is a good time to give us a call.
Yep.
And how can they get in touch with us?
They can get in touch with us. I'm so glad you asked, Aaron.
Well, thank you.
I'm so happy to tell people they can get in touch with us by calling 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305 BALD. They can also go to baldbrothers.tv. That takes you directly to our website and all of the podcast locations, videos. We got a YouTube channel that answers a lot of questions. We try to be very educational with what we provide because it's important to know that when you're coming to the Bald Brothers team, we have that education and we want to help you through this process.
So the next topic we wanted to talk about today is something that in my 20 plus years of selling real estate, and this is Aaron, by the way, if you didn't know, my voice is so distinct today.
Because he's got that sultry low voice.
Cyber security, ransomware attacks.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, real estate involves a lot of money. The largest financial decision,
more than a few dollars,
that most people make. Most people don't have the amount of equity in their home just sitting in cash somewhere. A lot of people do, but most people do not. So when you sell a home, all of a sudden you have $100,000, $300,000, $1 million, $3 million being wired just by ones and zeros. Right.
Yeah.
And so we have title companies that have bank accounts that receive these funds and then disperse these funds. And right before Thanksgiving, right? Because I was on my mission trip.
You were in your mission trip, and I was dealing with a couple transactions. One that was supposed to close before Thanksgiving.
Yes. And the largest title company in the country, Fidelity National Financial, was attacked through a ransomware cyber attack. There are articles out there now that they think they know who attacked them, but basically shut down all of the title companies that they own, which they own a number of them throughout the country, but they're the biggest. They have like a majority of title transactions in our country run through their companies. It all came to a halt.
And we had one transaction that was supposed to close, and it was like pulling teeth to get the bank to finally fund this loan. They funded it. We finally overcame those hurdles, and then I got the call from our officer, our escrow officer, saying, "You will not believe this, Todd. The title they cannot receive any wire transfers." Now, the bank had transferred that, done a wire. They can't receive it now because of this hack. There's a security issue. And
the way these hacks work, they're not necessarily going after the money.
Yeah, that's right.
But because of the nature of their business,
the security,
they can extract a ransomware fee in the millions and millions of dollars. It could be hundreds of millions. I have no idea what this situation is. But, somewhere in the company, an employee clicked on a file, on an email that gave them access to, and they went in and they took over everything. Just this morning, Todd, I got a text from one of our title reps at one of the Fidelity companies, and he said, "Hey, our staff has their email up again." This is over a week. They have had no email. They have had no access to a lot of things because this company goes in and they basically take over all the servers and say, "Hey, if you want access to your information and you want us to go away, you just need to pay us money." And it's a very profitable thing for those companies. And companies like Fidelity National Financial will pay. Because they absolutely have to have their information back.
They have to, and they have to continue in business. I mean, and this didn't just, there's a few different title companies that are all related to Fidelity National. I mean, Chicago Title, Lawyers Title. So this was a very difficult situation. And by the way, I think it was yesterday I got the notice that, okay, they can now receive wires. They can receive funds, which is good. But when it comes to dispersing funds, they're only going to do it by printed checks, which takes us back 30 years. I mean, it takes us back to the way things used to be done when you actually print a check. But hey, we were getting somewhere as of yesterday. But the question is, what do you do if you're in the middle of a transaction, something's supposed to close? What is your recourse? Well, you got a couple of options. One, you just stay the course and wait until you can actually close the deal. Some people were choosing to switch to different title companies that weren't a part of this group. But that involves another process as well. In many cases, you got to redraw. You got to get redo. Everything's got to be redrawn, and
Yeah,
that can,
from a title perspective.
from a title perspective,
Mhm.
and that can take additional time as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
so in this particular case, because it was such a challenge getting to this point of closing, we decided we just need to
Right.
wait. And fortunately, that's going to finally
Yeah, and
close.
in my company, I oversee a number of brokers,
Mhm.
and one of our agents did switch to a different title company
Mhm.
because it was a very clean transaction.
Yeah.
And the buyer had some connections at a different title company,
Mhm.
and so they opened their prelim and they got everything done in one day.
Yeah.
Swapped over.
That's amazing.
I
Yeah.
had to sign off on it
Yeah.
as the broker, and so I saw the documents come through, and they switched title companies and they closed it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't attacked.
Mhm.
So they're not necessarily going after the data. It literally is just we'll shut you down until you pay us.
Mhm.
I have a friend who's in the insurance industry, and he was telling me how it works.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, we have cybersecurity insurance for ransomware.
Mhm.
So if something like this happens, we unfortunately we have to write the check.
Yeah.
And in the case that he was telling me about, they wanted Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah. And so the insurance company made the Bitcoin payment.
Digital gold.
Right. So they made the Bitcoin payment,
Uh-huh.
and then the hackers took the software off, and they left a little note there on the screen that said, "It's a pleasure doing business with you. Please let us know that we're honest hackers."
Oh,
I mean, they wanted a good name for themselves, meaning that if you pay us, we'll go away. We're not here to harm you long
so
term.
irritating.
We just want the money. It's blackmail money.
It's benevolent terrorists.
So, you and I
Yeah.
don't operate in that world, and I
Yeah.
have no idea how that works. But if you're selling a home and you're going through a process and things are timely, you have to recognize that there are some things that are just out of control of everybody's hands.
That's right.
There's only one person that could have prevented this from happening. It's the person that clicked on that email.
The person that clicked on that email.
Right.
It's what I tell my kids. When you get those emails, just delete them. Don't.
Right.
And by the way, we should let people know, hey, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you are listening to Home Sellers Advantage. We are the Bald Brothers team with Impact Properties. You can call us at 833-305-BALD. You can also go to baldbrothers.tv.
And when you're there,
Mhm.
take a look at the shows and also our affiliates.
That's right.
We're very grateful
Mhm.
for Crosswalk Mortgage, Beacon Escrow, and a couple of other service industry professionals there that help us out. And so, give them a shout out as well.
Yeah, sign up for our mailing list.
Yeah.
And so if you're just tuning in, we're almost done, but we're talking about the exciting world of title, and of course the recent breach that happened. And it might not be exciting to you. The only reason it would be exciting to you is if you're in the middle of an active transaction and you've got drama going on with your transaction. But I will say this, as Aaron mentioned, it is important for you to have an understanding of the purpose of title, what it does. And I think we probably should do an episode upcoming just talking about title. Now, we are not title experts. That's why we hire title companies. But it is good to have an understanding of the purpose of title, what it does, their involvement from the beginning of escrow to the actual recording, the end of escrow. And I think that would be, especially if you're selling or purchasing a home, to understand what this product is that you're purchasing and the reason behind it.
That's right. So thanks for tuning in to our show today. I know that my voice has been a little lower than normal, but we hope.
We should have differentiated. I should have just talked with a really high voice today,
right.
so they'd know who's who.
Right.
But if you're watching, then you just look at the lips, you know who's talking.
Yeah, we do want you to give us a call. We work primarily with sellers, and we walk through these things every day.
Mm-hmm.
That is Todd's job. That is my job, and it is our job to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're listening right now and you're wondering, man, I'm thinking about selling in 2024, when should I start that process? Start it today.
Yeah.
Call us at 833-305-BALD, and we'll get a hold of you. We will meet with you. We'll talk with you. We'll look through your situation, and we will help you begin to prepare so that you can be successful in 2024.
That's right. It is never too early to start. Because knowledge is very important to have in the process. And we would love to talk with you. And if you have questions, you can call us at the number that we've given. You can also email us. You can sign up for our newsletter. all of that good stuff. And we look forward to bringing you more information as we move on into the new year as well.
God bless. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to the All Things Real Estate Show. The Bald Brothers team is a licensed DBA of Impact Properties, Inc., licensed by the California Department of Real Estate number 019222671. If you'd like to reach us, you can call us at 833-305-BALD, or you can reach us online at baldbrothers.tv. Equal housing opportunity.